Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mkwine Sam. Today, we shall be talking about something very, very important and very sensitive for educative and informative purposes. And I also wish to get your opinion just after this 5-minute presentation. It's about the European and the colonizers' influence in Africa, which has left a long-lasting negative impact, especially when it comes to instability, hunger, and putting Africa at the tail end of the world map. The first thing we need to know is that Africa had existed before, and when you look at history, you realize that African population, they were already well grouped and well figured out into tribes, what we call nations. Okay, so prior to European invasion, prior to the colonizers coming, African nations already existed and they were already well established economically, politically, and socially. So what you see today as the African map, what you see today as the 54 African countries, were all carved out on paper by the foreign invaders, and this is what has caused problems till today. If you look at Nigeria, it's made up of 3 tribes that were grouped together. You had like the Yoruba, you have the Igbo, the Hausas. They were found in like Nigeria, Niger, and Ghana. So they have been grouped together, and it's very, very difficult. If you go even to the north of Africa, you're going to see like the Berber tribe. You know, they are in Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, so they are just mixed together as well. You have like the Himba in Namibia, you have the Khoi, that's a Bushman in South Africa still, the Xhosa in South Africa. So if you look at what I'm trying to explain, you realize that the tribes are mixed in different countries. You know, the Fulani are spread throughout. And logically speaking, it's so difficult for me to trust somebody from another tribe even though we're in the same country, which is fabricated by Europe. I prefer to trust my uncle, who is probably in another country. Assuming that I'm a Fulani, okay, and I'm in Senegal, and my uncle is probably a Fulani and in Gambia, I will most probably believe him than a Senegalese who is from another tribe. That having said, the issue at hand now is when these countries were formed arbitrarily without taking into consideration the already established tribes, the already established nations, the already established ethnic groups, it gave birth to what we now have as tribalism, to what we now have as ethnic cleansing, like genocidal attempts. That is the problem Africa is facing. Look at all the current leaders in Africa, especially where we have these tribes and indigenous African people. Instead of having kings and rulers which are chosen by the tribes, they have what we call elected presidents. If there are like 5 tribes in one country, you cannot have 5 presidents, meaning that one president must come from a particular tribe. And that is already an issue because it's like one tribe is controlling 4 other tribes. That's what's happening. It gives room for the colonialists, who are now neo-colonialists, to come back and make friends with another tribe against that president. Whereas, if these countries were not forced and grouped together arbitrarily, you are going to have, say, different nations. The argument is that the tribes were weak and they could not be independent, but that's not the case. Because if you look at a country like Belgium or Switzerland, it's not even up to 1/3 of, let's say, Yoruba land. But Switzerland is stronger than maybe 5 countries in Africa, even though they are smaller in size and population. So we cannot really claim or determine the fact that the Europeans had the right to arbitrarily create their own countries. So I'm just trying to point out the fact that these African countries you see today were created by foreigners. And it is what has caused the confusion, the tribalism, the hatred, and it is still a tool that is used by these foreign countries to play over Africans. Even though I know it may be difficult to restructure or to decolonize Africa by going back to its original indigenous state, it is good that Africans who are coming up, young historians, policymakers, whenever you are looking at Africa's problems, you should always go back to this origin, because one day a solution might come up thanks to this knowledge. My name is Mkwine Sam once more. Thank you for listening and hope to get your comments below. I will be back for more inputs. Bye.